Hey, well met travelers. Thanks for stopping by my channel. My name is Bob of the Old Ways. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. So, the critical drinker went and made himself a wee little TV pilot. And that was a terrible Scottish accent. Wow, terrible. That was more of a Pirates of the Caribbean accent. I did my best though. Sorry. Your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck. Anyway, the critical drinker made himself a wee little movie, and I'm going to watch it and react to it the way I used to do back in the day when my channel sucked. So, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that you know who the critical drinker is and what the critical drinker is all about. If you don't know who the critical drinker is and what the critical drinker is all about, you know, you're probably better off not knowing. So just feel free to skip this video and come back later. But before you go, be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications so you will be notified when I upload videos that are actually worth your time. Now, by way of background, the critical drinker, as you probably know, has built a huge reputation for himself here on YouTube as the resident movie explainer, the professor of narrative sciences, if you will. And the basic premise of almost all of his content is that modern Hollywood movies suck, especially if they're made by Disney, because they've become so infected by the woke mind virus, which he calls the message, that they've lost the ability to construct compelling narratives that appeal to traditional masculine archetypes and stuff that have apparently been the basis of all cinema prior to the last, I don't know, 20 years or so. And because he is also a published novelist, and good for him, honestly, I mean, I haven't published a novel. Not many people have. It's not an easy thing to do. So genuinely, good job, Will Jordan. But because he is the author of a series of dad bait spy novels centered around a character named Jack Ryan Nathan Drake Reacher, or something like that, he is able to parlay himself on YouTube as kind of an expert in the field of storytelling, something that people like me and other, pop culture content creators are not really able to do. And a while back, he crowdfunded an effort to turn one of his books, or one of his the character from his books. I think it's not based on a specific book, but to take the character from his books, Jack Ryan Nathan Drake Reacher, and make an independent action movie. He crowdfunded this thing. It got the funding it needed, and then they made it, and they dropped it on his channel a couple of weeks ago. And well, like I said, I'm going to watch it and react to it, so I won't say much more about it. But I have pretty high hopes, given all of his pretense to expertise and storytelling mastery. One would presume that even a low budget effort he puts out is going to be better than what Hollywood offers. It's going to be better than the content that he constantly complains about, right? I mean, I wouldn't expect much in the way of like special effects or elaborate set pieces or anything like that, because it's a low budget movie. But the writing is the bread and butter. And that is going to be of the highest possible quality in his work, right? Well, let's find out together. Now, for full disclosure, I should point out that a couple of weeks ago, I did react to a couple of clips from Rogue Elements on a live stream I did with Dane of Actual Fandom and our co-host GM Morgan, and I was not impressed by what I saw. But to be fair to the critical drinker, what I saw was out of its narrative context. So today, I'm going to watch it in its narrative context, and hopefully I'll have a different opinion of it. So, without further ado, let's get into my first time watching and reacting to the critical drinker's Rogue Elements. Oh, looks like it's time for a dramatic reading. Okay, here we go. Dramatic reading. In 2001, the CIA's Special Activities Division authorized the formation of a new, highly classified unit. Composed of elite military veterans, its mission was to find and retrieve high-value assets from deep behind enemy lines. If killed or captured, the CIA would deny all knowledge of their existence. They bore no insignia, held no title, and answered to no name. For the select few who knew of them, they came to be known as shepherds. So the agency will disavow all knowledge of their existence. We see the source material inspiration for at least part of this story. Mission Impossible, spy fiction. Okay. Okay, Critical Drinker. Okay, production company behind Critical Drinker's short film. Wow me.
Everyone eventually breaks, and you will too.
Okay, we're opening with violence against women. Bold choice, Critical Drinker. Okay, so here comes Jack Ryan and Nathan Drake Reacher, right? He's coming to save the day. Oh, okay. All right, so we're opening with a flashback by a character we know nothing about, except that she was getting slapped around. And, you know, I kind of feel bad for her, but that doesn't tell us very much about who she is or why we should care about her. So why are we opening with a flashback? All right, maybe it'll make sense later on. Wait a minute. Okay. Now this is a clip that I reacted to on the live stream a couple weeks ago, and it's at the very beginning of the movie. So the problems I had with it haven't really been addressed or anything like that. So here's the problem. The logistical problem I have with this. This is a parking garage, and there are no other cars in this level, right? She's setting herself up as a sniper, and as you're about to see, because again, full disclosure, I have reacted to this portion of the film already. As you're about to see, this crack security team did not detect her in any way, despite the fact that they're all on the same level of the parking garage and there are no other cars around. Somehow, she goes undetected. Let's watch. Okay, there are some cars. Right, so notice.
See anything?
Notice, all right, she's only a couple of parking spaces away from where they are. She's not in another building across the street or anything like that. Just put a pin in that and watch how this unfolds. Okay, so here she is. Boom, all right.
Goddammit, get him out of here!
Now, again, she's only a few parking spaces away from them. I want you to remember that bit. And now we have a bunch of other guys who came out of nowhere in this mostly empty parking garage. So where were all of these dudes hiding? Where were they?
You have information that I need.
Okay, clean shot right there. Clean shot. Another clean shot right there. Who is her target? Boom, not that guy. Okay, that bullet, considering the firepower of the rifle there, that bullet would have gone through that dude's head and hit the guy behind him, the guy who is apparently her actual target. Right? Was she aiming for the guard? Was that her target, or was her target the criminal mastermind who just came in and like terrorized these dudes? Remains to be seen, but I have a feeling she was gunning for the main bad guy in this scene from a few parking spaces away. Ooh, an actual stunt. He can just reach out and grab it. He's not that far away. He could just, come on, dude, just grab the gun.
So put a bullet in me now. Save us both the aggravation.
That was an okay line of dialogue, right? This guy is selling a little bit. He's selling I'm a tough secret agent man guy. By the way, this is not Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher, I don't think. This is just like some other dude. This is part of a prologue, but so far the dialogue is not terrible, but it could be better, considering the Critical Drinker is a narrative sciences expert. We should be seeing some really poppin' dialogue here. It needs to be like popping off, and so far it's not.
And like my father used to always say, there are very few problems that can be solved with a...
Like, by the way, the music in this is really intrusive. It seems to have been nonstop since the credits rolled, and I can't help but think that maybe that's a copyright protection tactic, like something designed to prevent videos like the one you're watching right now, to like create an instant copyright strike or something. We shall see when I try to upload this video. But if that's the case, I don't really care because this channel is not monetized. But if that is the intention of all this music being nonstop, well played, Critical Drinker. Well played.
Well, I guess we're in for a long night. Because I don't know shit.
That's from Lethal Weapon. That exact line is from Lethal Weapon. I'll put a clip in or something.
I guess we're in for a long night because I don't know shit.
That's from the scene in Lethal Weapon where Riggs is being tortured and interrogated by the heroin dealers who used to be special forces guys. Now, it wasn't a terribly original line in Lethal Weapon either, but this was just straight up. Okay, I said what I said. We'll see if I was right. If I'm misremembering it, I'll still put the clip in. But lazy writing, isn't that one of the things Critical Drinker complains about?
You know how much I love making.
Okay, now I'm pretty sure this guy is supposed to be Jack Ryan Nathan Drake Reacher. Ryan Drake, the hero of the series. And he really did not scream action leading man to me when I first saw him. This, again, is one of the clips part of this sequence is one of the clips I reacted to already. After this, I think it's most of the movie I haven't seen. But I'm trying to figure out what accent he's using here.
I was in the middle of something.
I think he's supposed to be Scottish.
Whoever your latest victim is, I'm sure will be tied up in your dungeon.
Ooh, that dialogue, it's just popping, isn't it?
Well, it worked, mate.
Right, so is he supposed to be Scottish? Is he English?
Yeah, you just keep telling yourself that.
Right, and here's what bothers me, okay? I am no spy master. I will admit that. But this character, Jack Ryan Nathan Drake Reacher, is supposed to be, I think, Scottish. He does not sound Scottish to me. His Scottish accent is about as good as mine. But even if it was a convincing Scottish accent, I'm pretty sure that active CIA agents are not foreign nationals to the United States. Now, the CIA would have like the equivalent of criminal informants who are citizens of other countries, or they might have assets like people who know a guy, right, that are foreign nationals. But active CIA agents, I'm pretty sure, are not foreign nationals because they could run the potential of having dual loyalties and being compromised, even if they're from an allied nation like the UK, right? The UK and the US are not always going to see eye to eye on things. There's been, a few international incidents in recent years, if you dig into recent history and pay attention to headlines and stuff, where the US and its allies have not always been on the same page about something. Like the US will want to commit military resources to a particular conflict in the third world, and our allies will not, or vice versa. So a foreign national being a CIA agent is not a thing, as far as I know. It wouldn't make any sense to me. And at any rate, I think it's something that would require some kind of exposition in the narrative of this movie to explain why a Scottish man is a CIA agent. Just saying.
Since one of the Baltic states harbor terrorists.
Since they joined NATO. Pro-Russian
Wait, what?
factions have been agitating ever since the articles were signed.
Till now,
Pro-Russian
they were
factions. Wait.
Disorganized.
So the Balkan states, pretty sure, did they say, they said the Baltic, not the Balkan. Okay. The Baltic states have started harboring terrorists since they joined NATO. And then he said pro-Russian forces have been agitating since then. Okay. I was a little confused about the geopolitics for a minute. The first time I reacted to this clip, I thought that they were saying that Estonia was a terrorist haven against Russia, not in favor of Russia. So I made a joke on Dane's stream that maybe this portion of the production was paid for by Russian money. But I am going to have to retract that statement now, because hearing the dialogue again, I realized I got the geopolitics backwards. So apologies to the Critical Drinker.
Dietrich, we can't just start dropping bombs on friendly countries.
Never stopped us before.
Since when? We do that all the time.
Local police or military.
Besides, Dan could have chosen half a dozen other teams for this mission. Why us?
Okay, so like the dialogue is what I would call this dialogue workmanlike. It's functional. It's advancing the narrative a little bit. But I think this script really needed another pass or two. And Critical Drinker was the script writer for this. He wasn't the director or the producer. He may have been a producer because money was involved. But like he wasn't, as far as I know, wasn't involved in the day-to-day production details. He did, however, write the script. And this dialogue is on the nose. Now, sometimes you have to do that because the story requires exposition and it can be difficult to convey necessary details without just saying the necessary details. So often they'll put them in the form of like a computer display or something like that, or have the conversation going on during an athletic competition between two characters or something. You know, they do something visually interesting so that the boring details are less boring. But this dialogue here it's conveying information and trying to convey character without really illustrating what the underlying conflict between these characters is. They're not referencing any emotional content to their relationship or anything. It's just character talks, other character talks. They convey information for the viewer, and they're supposed to be feeling things. The characters are, that is. So the actors are emoting and injecting conflict into the dialogue, but the conflict is not written in the dialogue. Do you get what I'm saying?
And we don't allow shit like this to go unanswered.
You feeling it? Feel something. The music is telling you to feel something. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Okay, so to be fair, we are getting a little bit of characterization in the dialogue now. We get the impression that Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher, is apparently the type of agent who is manipulative even to the people on his team, right? He'll do things behind their back and lie to them to get the job done. But the conflict between the other two characters, Frost, the computer ops lady, and the German guy, Dietrich, what was the underlying emotional conflict there? It wasn't alluded to ever. At best, they had a political disagreement or a tactical disagreement about bombing friendly countries. So what's going on there? The dialogue here told us nothing, not even by implication, about that conflict between those two characters.
Because if those assholes don't kill you, I will.
The only people dying today are those fuckers.
Ooh. Ooh. Did y'all feel that? Did you feel the emotions? Feel the emotions. So we know that Dietrich and Ryan apparently don't like each other very much. Dietrich, at any rate, is the kind of guy that would threaten a member of his team for putting him in danger, right? So we got a little bit of characterization at the end of that exchange, all right? Again, workmanlike, but it's not really blowing my skirt up, if you know what I'm saying. It's not any better than like a CBS spy procedural that, you know, or something like that. It's in that genre. And the dialogue isn't really transcending that genre in any way. It's barely inhabiting that genre so far. We're almost halfway through this little short film here. We need to step it up, guys. Come on. Okay, let's see which actors were trained how to hold guns and which ones weren't. She wasn't. Looks like he has a little bit of trigger discipline. She did not. Her finger was nowhere near where it needed to be. All right, so just full disclosure here, we're now into a portion of this movie that I have not seen at all. So everything from this point forward, except for one particular moment later on, which I'm sure we'll get to. But in between the future moment and this one, I haven't seen any of this. So my reactions here are going to be more spontaneous and less repeating observations I had last time. Okay, let's watch the logistics of this scene. Okay, there's a wide open field between Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher, and the rest of these guys. Bright lights shining right in his face. But the guy at the gate did not hear or see any of that.
You tell Vitaly. Next time you want something, find someone else.
All right, so where is this gate in relation to everything else we just saw? Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher, and Frost, the computer ops lady, just killed a couple of guys under bright lights in a wide open field. And the guy talking to Dietrich here appears to have not seen or heard any of it. Also, in a previous shot, there was another dude on the other side of his truck looking at us through the passenger side. So that guy would have been able to see over the shoulder of the guy interrogating Dietrich here. Neither of them saw or heard any of that. I'm just trying to work out the kinks here. So, not to be nitpicky, I don't want to be too nitpicky here, but what the heck? Critical Drinker is nitpicky of everybody else. So, this actress doesn't move like someone who has had training holding a gun. Like, she's barely getting the Weaver stance correct. And I understand they were working with a small budget here, and not every actor has like stunt training or anything like that. But I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more, because these are supposed to be like elite secret agents, and they're not moving like we as the cinematic viewer would expect them to be moving. Their choreo is functional. And again, I'm cutting more slack on the logistical side of this, like the action sequences and the set pieces and stuff like that, because they were working with a small budget. But the plotting and the dialogue and the story really need to be on point, because this is the Critical Drinker we're talking about. He wrote this, and that part of this production needs to transcend the flaws of the other parts. Small budget films are going to be full of limitations that can have clunky effects on the narrative flow of the piece and so forth, because, you know, they're limited in what they can do and where they can work and what times they work and how much time they have to work and all of that. So those are going to throw monkey wrenches into the production. But the script should have been completed before shooting began, and it should have been finalized before shooting began, which means the Critical Drinker basically had all the time in the world to turn in the best action script we've ever seen in a low budget film. And this is barely like Tubi TV level so far. This is like this isn't even comparable, I think, to a Scott Adkins film. I love Scott Adkins movies, by the way, but this is not rising to the occasion so far. We're almost halfway through. See, he moves okay. This guy's got some training.
Come on, Alpha, we have to pick up the pace.
I'm working on it, Bravo. This place.
Check your corners, bro. That was really sloppy. Okay, there you go. Like hide or something, right? He's walking down this corridor full of tons of little crevices and nooks and crannies where anybody could be hiding and whatever, and he's not checking his corners. So Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher just failed the elite special agent test. Ooh, who is this guy? This smug guy. This guy's super smug. Okay, so we're going to get an action scene here, right? Yeah, here we go. Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake is going to rise to the occasion. Going to come in here and kick all these dudes' asses.
Bravo, I found it out.
Negative. Alpha,
Wait.
negative.
Wait, his call sign is Alpha? Tip in your hand there, Will Jordan. All right. So Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher is about to go into a room with 5 guys and like kill them all, right? Again, with the caveat that this is a small budget production, I'm really interested to see how this actor handles action choreo. Okay, that wasn't terrible. So he's the main star. He's the lead. So they gave him some more training, but right. I'm gonna quit bitching about it. He did fine. This action scene was fine. He moved okay. He moved like somebody who's been training for like 6 weeks or a month, not like somebody who has extensive action choreo experience. And again, a lot of actors don't. Most actors don't. That's fine. Small budget production, but it is what it is. I'm going to stop complaining about this now.
Tell me something. Do you think you can handle that?
Like, what is the deal with these two, right? Again, there we had two characters, or excuse me, 2 actors reading dialogue and inserting conflict into the dialogue, but there's been no hint of what is the underlying conflict between them. Does hair gel work for Victor, the guy that this guy answers to? Is he like a mercenary that this guy hired? Why don't they like each other? There's been not even a hint of any characterization. They're just two people inserting conflict into very on-the-nose, workmanlike dialogue. Again, the script needed at least one more pass. It needed some polish.
Bravo. Got the package.
Copy.
Uh-oh. What is that?
What the fuck? Alpha, there may be a rogue element in play here.
Ooh, there we go. They said the title of the thing in the thing. I love it when they do that. Always say the title of the thing in the thing. Always. Ooh, the mystery lady. Wait a minute.
Do not get in my way.
Wait. That little flashback included shots from the transition at the beginning of the movie. That I like, where that lady was being tortured, and then we like did the the panning shot around her, and they transitioned to her from her being in the cell where she was being held to her being in the parking garage where she was sniping this team of bad guys. That kind of implied that this is all a flashback, but he just had Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher just had a flashback that included shots from it looked like they were shots from that same time period. So I'm a little confused about the timeline now. But maybe they just had to recycle footage because of a small budget. Fair enough.
No, I don't believe in guns.
You better start, because the people in here do.
Okay, again, that dialogue exchange, I don't believe in guns, says the person who doesn't use guns, like the person they're rescuing. Then the secret agent hands him a gun and says, you better start believing in them because the people coming for us do. Again, that wasn't terrible dialogue, but it could have been better, Like something a little bit more inspirational, whatever, or more motivating from the secret agent. Something like, look, I can get you out of this. I promise you I can, but we are outnumbered, so you're going to have to fight. Are you with me? And then like a quick demonstration of how to turn the safety off, how to cock the gun, how to check, all that other stuff. That would have sold it better. Far be it from me to tell Professor of Narrative Sciences Will Jordan how to write a script, but that I think was just an illustration of how this script for this pilot concept, again, is workmanlike. It's passable, but given what the critical drinker claims for himself, it really needs to be like top tier. This needs to be like Academy Award-winning dialogue, bro. Otherwise, you're kind of undermining your whole online persona with this. All right, so watch. This is the part. I reacted to this part in the stream with Dane and GM Morgan. And I want you to pay attention to something GM Morgan pointed out in that stream. Watch, first of all, look at her trigger discipline and the way her grip. It's a little sloppy. But when they cut to, what you're about to see is this lady shooting a guy who's crouching on the roof for some reason, who appears to be played by Will Jordan. When they show her shoot him, I want you to follow the line of sight from her barrel to his body. Look at the part of his body that she's aiming at, and then look at the part of his body that reacts to being shot. Okay, let's watch this. First, he stands up, boom, presents center mass. He stood up and presented center mass to her, okay? He should have dropped to the ground and made himself a smaller target, not a bigger one. But if you go back and watch that scene over again, maybe in slow motion, because we did on the stream, her barrel was pointed at his crotch. And it looks like he reacted as though he were shot in the head. And again, this is a low budget production, but given the cinematography here, they could have just given the actress a note to tilt the barrel up a little bit, or have Will react like he'd just been shot in the dick. But neither of those happened. I said I wasn't going to complain about this anymore, but it's so hard not to. Okay, look at that. Did you see that? Did you see that? I'm not going to rewind it, but they were right in front of him. He was looking right at them. He, being Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher, was looking right at the bad guys, and he didn't see them. And then they shot him. What the heck, guys? I think we can do better.
Oh, to hell with this.
Oh, hair gel. Okay. Question number 1. Is she going to turn out to be a girl boss? Like, you know, she's going to be fighting a dude that's bigger than her and stronger than her. So is she going to, like, take this guy out? Or is somebody going to have to rescue her? Because we all know the critical drinker is very clear on this subject. Women cannot beat men in fights, especially if the men are not bigger or are bigger than them, right? That's just impossible. So let's see how this unfolds. Okay, so far she's not winning. No girl boss detected so far. All right, here we go. Now she's gonna girl boss him, right? It's hammer time. Oh, what's here? Wait, who is this? Oh, here's our girl boss. Ooh. Okay. All right, all right. Okay, so this actress, whoever she is, this is obviously a stunt performer. This actress and this character are the best fighter in the movie, both in terms of their physical performance as an actor and the character's skill level. This is exactly the kind of thing that the critical drinker complains about, isn't it? This is girl boss. This is Mary Sue right here. They better explain it. They better show her training. I expect a training montage in this. Okay. Now that she needs some girl boss energy here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. I'm not even trying. Haha, I'm not even trying. Look at this. She's a tiny little petite woman. He's a big, strong man, and she's able to hold back his stabbing, right? She can just hold them back. She's got the strength to do that. Impossible. Impossible. Women can't win fights against men. They're too weak. What? Wait, where did she kick him or knee him? That wasn't in the groin.
But Alpha, rooftop secure. What's your sit rep?
Okay, so this lady did not get her girl boss moment. She had to be saved. But the other one, is it acceptable? I'm not really clear on the critical drinker's standards. Is it critical drinkards? The critical drunkard? Is it acceptable by Will Jordan's standards to have one like hyper competent girl boss in the movie, as long as there's another woman character in the movie who is easily getting beat up by dudes? Is that acceptable by his metric? I'm unclear. What is clear to me, I think, if he has this kind of a character, this kind of a woman character, this this girl boss, Mary Sue, can beat up every man in the room character in his own books, this tells you that, or should tell you. No, I'll save that thought for the wrap up, but put a pin in that. Oh, it's hammer time. These guys move like bags of molasses wearing gorilla suits. See that move right there? Okay. That move right there was too clunky. All right. And again, I promised I wasn't going to complain about this anymore, but we just had like a really slick, smooth moving lady boss come in here who obviously has extensive stunt training. So that's just highlighting how lower tier the rest of the fight choreo is. The move that Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher just made was fine for a cinematic fight, but you could tell it was just like, it's hard to like quantify in language for me, because I've done martial arts. If you look behind me, you can see I've got like boxing gloves and swords and stuff like that. So it's just like, it reads like somebody who learned these moves 6 weeks ago and drilled them a couple of times a week just so they could get through the production. And again, that's fine if that's the level that everybody else in the movie is at. Because, you know, if he is better than all the other people in the movie, then we can sell it. Despite the, you know, the level of training he has in real life, if his character is shown to move better than the rest of the characters in the story, then we can say, oh, he is the elite character here. But then this other lady shows up, this girl boss, this blonde Mary Sue woman shows up, and she is slick, man. She is super slick, and she's just elevated herself above everybody else in this, and it makes Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher here look even sloppier than he would have anyway. So now that they've included the girl boss and her elite fighting skills, I can't let it go. I just can't. This is not selling me that Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher is like an elite CIA agent here. He's like the dude that takes karate like every weekend down in Reseda, you know? This is like Karate Kid level stuff, not CIA level stuff.
I've killed better men for less.
That was kind of a dig. I've killed better men. Don't point at him. Okay. All right, whatever. Point at the bad guy, right? Who just lost an opportunity to get away.
Listen to him.
Wait a minute.
Now your weapon. See, she doesn't want you to know.
We're finished here.
No.
So she.
We're a long fucking way from being
Okay.
finished. You don't get to just walk away from this.
The visual elements are confusing me here, right? So I thought we were in a flashback, right? At the beginning, we saw this woman, Anya, being tortured and ending up in a cell. Somebody was coming to get her, presumably Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher here. And she stood up, and then they did the panning shot around her and transitioned to her in the parking garage shooting at these dudes, these bad guys. That's structured like a flashback, like we are in a flashback, and we're going to like circle back around to the present day at the end of the narrative. But they just showed her having a flashback of that torture session. So are we after that? What's the timeline here? That's bad. It's bad writing. This, if the critical drinker wrote this, it's terrible. That's very poor plot construction. Not every plot needs to be linear, right? That's not a requirement. It's helpful, but it's not a requirement. But it does need to be clear when things are happening in the narrative once you put all the pieces together in retrospect. So I think, like, everything up to this point led me to think that we were in the flashback and we were going to circle back around to her being rescued, and it was going to be Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher here coming to get her after all of this happened. But she had a flashback to that just a minute ago here, and now she's got, okay, let's just see where this goes. We're almost done, folks.
Goodbye, Ryan.
So he barely knows her. I guess they hooked up once or something? Right. So this is the flashback. Face reveal? Yeah, Jack Ryan, Nathan Drake Reacher. So this is the flashback.
Maris, it's all right. I'm here to get you out.
Okay, so we opened, like the very first shot was the flashback. And then we transitioned to current day. All right. That's a little weird. Just saying. It's an odd writing choice. I dare say I wouldn't have written it that way, but who am I? Written by Will Jordan and Travis Grant. So maybe this is all Travis Grant's fault, and Travis Grant has sullied the reputation of Professor of Narrative Sciences Will Jordan, the critical drinker. Nah, it's all the critical drinker's fault. Okay, so I'm going to include as much of my wrap-up thoughts as I can while the credits are rolling, in case there's like I'm going to let them keep running in case there's a mid-credits scene or something. This was there's two ways to judge this, all right? The first is as a low budget production on its own terms that is designed to be a proof of concept to prospective network television or streaming service buyers without the involvement of the critical drinker. Absent his involvement here, this would be, wait, we're getting a mid-credit scene? Yes, we are. Okay. Okay. Back to what I was saying before. Subtract the involvement of the critical drinker from this for a moment. And what you have is a passable, low-budget action pilot proof of concept, right? If you showed this to a group of investors who wanted to, like, who were from like a streaming service or something, it would be okay, right? This is fine on its own terms. However, we cannot ignore the involvement of the critical drinker here. That guy has built a channel with, like, last time I checked, like over 2 million subs that dominates YouTube's algorithm when it comes to pop culture commentary. He has built that on the pretense that he is tapped in to storytelling expertise, that he is the arbiter for many of his fans. He is the final arbiter of what counts as good and bad writing. So, despite the fact that this was a low budget production, and we can cut it slack for all the things that don't involve writing, we can cut slack on the action choreography, the set design, the shot composition, the editing, the acting, all of that we can cut slack on because it's a low budget production, and we would expect it to not be at the level of, say, something that Disney puts out, right? But the writing, the plotting, the story, the script really needed to step it up here, and it just doesn't. This is the critical drinker putting his best foot forward, presenting what he thinks is the answer to the message dominating all of Hollywood and ruining traditional storytelling, and this is what he hands us. It's embarrassing. Oh, look, another end credit scene.
In the meantime, got a promise to keep.
Let's wrap it up, guys. Come on. Right, you're gonna go save this guy's family, right? Okay. I think we've seen enough. Okay, like I was saying, it is embarrassing that this is what the critical drinker thinks is the answer to the message. This reminds me a lot of when the Daily Wire started. They decided they were going to get into the film distribution business, and the first thing they put out was Run, Hide, Fight, which, based on the fact that it's the Daily Wire, was supposed to be like an alternative to the types of narratives they like to complain about in Hollywood, and yet structurally and aesthetically, it was indistinguishable from a Hollywood film. It had all the woke elements they complained about, or things they would call woke if they hadn't made it, And the same thing is true here. This little TV pilot proof of concept thing did everything that the critical drinker complains about constantly, including a Mary Sue girl boss who kicks the shit out of a bunch of, like, a room full of dudes bigger than her and is the best fighter in the entire story. And the fact that this character, Anya, is in this story that is based on the critical drinker's written works that he was writing, I think, before he launched his YouTube channel, should be the tell for all of you. That should be the thing that reveals to you that his entire operation over there on his channel is just a grift. He will complain about woke Hollywood, about the message, about DEI, about Mary Sues and girl bosses and all the other stuff that we like to hear. But when the rubber hits the road, when the chips are down and he has to produce something that he thinks is the alternative to that, he produces something that is exactly like the stuff he complains about and does all of the stuff that he criticizes in other movies, and does all of those things worse. So I honestly think that speaks for itself, and we don't really need to say anything else, do we? Do we? Do we? I think not. So I'm just going to end it here. If you like this content, please be sure to like and subscribe and all the other, whistles and doodads and stuff. I'm back on camera now because I've learned a couple of things about lighting, and maybe you can tell, I don't know. I still suck at that, but I've never claimed to be good at it, and my camera is working again I don't know why it wasn't working, but now it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Until next time, remember that what's best in life is to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and engage in discourse with the women.